Denver 7 On Demand is brought to you by Ferguson and BAC Appliance Center, the best in bath, kitchen, and lighting for your home.
Hi there, everyone. I'm Jason Grenauer with the latest from Denver 7. Tonight, we are under a first alert action day as a major storm system is set to hit the metro. I want to get right over to meteorologist Stacey Donaldson tracking that radar.
That's right. We have snow moving in tonight, but the heavier snow will be for our Saturday and especially into the afternoon and evening. Winter weather advisory in effect for Saturday for 3 to 8 inches of snow here for the Front Range, 6 to 12 for the foothills, and then it's looking like 12 to 36 for our northern mountains and 15 to 30 for the central mountains. So we are expecting feet of snow up in the high country and then heavy wet snow here across the Front Range with very cold air moving in. 15 degrees for a high on Sunday with an overnight low of 4, and it looks like the snow will clear out after this early morning on Sunday. Later in the afternoon we'll see clearing conditions, and then 22 on Monday with more sunshine, and we'll warm it up into 40s and 50s by the end of the week.
All right, and we promise to keep an eye on that radar and the roads as this system moves in. Join us again at 10 for an updated look at how this snow is tracking out, or download our app if you are on the go. Now, you can have the best brewers in the world, but if the water isn't good, the beer won't be either, which is why we should raise a glass to the subject of our next story, as told by Denver 7's Major King.
It's a simple formula: water, barley, yeast, and hops.
It actually takes 24 gallons of water to make 1 bottle of beer.
But it also takes energy to build a beer.
When I first started in sustainability, it was kind of a nerdy topic, like not something that you talk about at parties. And
from New Belgium's early days, it was all about saving both.
Our founders were great champions for the environment from day one.
Meet Merlin, one of the biggest heat exchangers you're likely to ever see.
Over 80% of the heat that we use in the process is captured and reused throughout the process. With brewing, you have a lot of heat in some areas, but you need it to be cold in other areas.
And check out these giant methane storage bubbles.
Because we have no toxic elements within our wastewater here, we're able to clean it with an anaerobic digester. That's microbes that are in an oxygen-free environment, and they actually produce methane.
There's also an aerobic digester.
About 11% of our electricity actually comes from our wastewater, and we're actually able to use that power during peak time when electricity is more expensive.
And a solar array that at peak provides enough juice to power the bottling and canning lines, where they save 1 million gallons a year just by reusing the same water to rinse the inside and out.
On the bottling line, we reduced our water-based lubricant, so we save over 1 million gallons from going to a drier lubricant on the conveyor belt.
Lastly, what's called a bioswale to filter runoff to the river that runs near it, the Cache La Poudre.
If New Belgium alone achieves our goals, we are not ultimately successful. We're a relatively small portion of the water demand here, or the energy consumption, and there are much bigger systems that we need to push forward in order to ultimately protect our resources.
We can all toast to that.
I'm less of a nerd when I go to parties. People want to talk about sustainability issues more and more these days.
In Fort Collins, Major King, Denver 7.
The more you know. Denver 7 is a proud sponsor of CSU's Water in the West Symposium. It takes place March 14th at the Gaylord Rockies. You can find out a little bit more information on thedenverchannel.com. Well, a new study suggests statewide paid family leave would come at a relatively small price. Researchers at DU found that it would cost $816 million a year to set up a paid leave program in Colorado. That sounds like a lot, right? But the study actually shows that most individuals would pay to fund is $7 a week. Now, many would pay less than $1 even. Now, people that would be taking leave would receive an average of $670 a week. The most they would get would be $1,000. Colorado Democrats plan to introduce their own version of this next week. Well, it might have ended in a settlement, but the homeless community is the real winner of a lawsuit against the city of Denver. As a result, the city must now give a 48-hour warning before removing unattended property. Large-scale sweeps require at least 7 days' notice now. The city must also add lockers, trash cans, porta potties, and needle disposal boxes. The 6 named plaintiffs will also receive $5,000 as a part of that class action lawsuit settlement. John Hickenlooper is throwing a party next week. He just doesn't want to say why. He did leave some breadcrumbs for us to follow, though. We pulled the event permit and found out that former governor expects up to 2,000 people to come see him speak at Civic Center Park. That permit also shows there will be entertainment, stages, and food. Sadly, organizers checked no on the box, asking whether animals would be involved in this event. Perhaps the most important clue, though, the organization sponsoring this is called JHFP Inc. If only you could spell something John Hickenlooper for. We will let you know what Hick has to say on Thursday. Did you hear that? That's exactly the point. The A-line horns are gone. No mas. After 3 years of testing, the trains finally fell silent this morning. Now, we did notice some flaggers are back at some of those crossings, so there are still some kinks to work out. But people we spoke with say they don't care. They are just happy they can once again hear themselves think.
It felt like you were, instead of working in your office, you're working in a freight yard. So that's about what it was like.
It's hard to be on the phone, walk into your car, and then the train horn goes off and nobody can hear you, or it scares you.
Unfortunately, this only applies to Denver. The two crossings in Aurora are still plenty noisy. There's no timeline just yet on when those will quiet down. This has been your Denver 7 On Demand update. Thanks for joining us. Check back here a little bit later tonight for another update and download that Denver 7 app for breaking news and alerts. I'm Jason Grenow.